Welcome back, LTR SBG team fans, to our next Army Review Series video. This will be the 10th one, not including the Legendary Legion videos that Joe and I did. Those kind of stood on their own. But we are going to be doing more of those, so if you enjoyed that, look forward to more of those coming in the future. But this is going to be the 10th one, since we're talking strictly a single army. So we're looking at, today, Isengard and Dunland. But I'm going to be splitting this into two videos again, part one, part two. And I will be strictly covering Dunland today. So sit back, grab some paints, and let's get ready to talk about Dunland. So I'm going to just start off straight from the Isengard section from the Lord of the Rings strategy. Sorry, Lord of the Rings. Armies of the Lord of the Rings book. There we go. Couldn't remember it. So there's only a couple of profiles in this book. We'll just cover them real quick because the majority of the profiles for Dunland actually came from the new Warren Rohan supplement book. And not only did they get that, but they got their own Legendary Legion. Now, I'm not going to talk about the Legendary Legion. Joe and I, and possibly Dan, hopefully Dan included, the three of us will be talking about the Legendary Legions that came out with the Warren in Rohan book in the future. So that's something where I'm not going to cover it today, but do stay tuned for that coming down the pipeline in the future. So let's go ahead and we're just going to jump right into the armies. Like I said, Armies Lord of the Ring book and the three profiles. So the first one we have is the Dunland Chieftain. I'm sorry, I lied. There's four profiles because I forgot about a named character who's actually in here, who's important. So we'll start with the Dunland Chieftain and then backtrack. So there are four profiles in this book, 2 heroes and 2 warrior choices. So the Dunland Chieftain, he's not bad. 2 might, 2 will, 1 fate. So kind of like Khandish Chieftain. So a little bit better than a captain with the fact he's got a 2nd point of will. I do like that personally. That can help with AoE magic resistance or just the fact that they help keep him from getting transfixed or immobilized. Having 2 dice to throw at something like that gives you a better chance of getting a natural 6 to have a 2nd point, a quote-unquote 3rd point of might, or better if you get 2 natural 6s on those. But that could just allow you to stay around a little longer. So he is fight 4, which is kind of that is one of the weaknesses of Dunland, is they don't have a lot of high fight value. They are a pretty low fight value army. There's a couple of buffs that we'll get to that can make them better, but for the most part, they are So, like I said, fight 4, strength 5, defense 5, 2 attacks, 2 wounds, courage 4. So that's not bad. Their war gear includes armor, dagger, and 2-handed axe. Now, this is interesting because you can swap the 2-handed axe for just a regular axe and shield. I do believe that if you do that, then you do get your defense buffed to 6, since it is not represented in the war gear profile. So that is a way to get your Dunland Chieftain to defense 6, which puts them. I think that's better. You kind of want your heroes at defense 6 just to not have to worry about strength 3 bows, as Joe, thank you, Joe, did to my Gorulf, who we'll talk about his profile a little bit in one of our recent battle reports that we did. He shot at Gorulf with strength 3 archers. He was playing the Defenders of Helm's Deep Legendary Legion and those elves with their 30-inch range over 24. Yeah, it stunk. He did 2 wounds. Gorulf rolled a 1 for his fate. And I had to burn all 3 points of might. So in 1 turn of shooting, I burned through 35, 40 points of resources, however you want to assign point values. Most people look at might as like 10 points, 5 to 10 points each. Same thing for fate. So burned through a lot of his resources right there. So I personally think that it's a better idea to go with the shieldness off in this circumstance. Go ahead and get that Dunland Chieftain up to defense 6. He can also take a bow for 5 points, but I don't really think I would ever use him for a bow because he's a 4-up shoot value. That's pretty much the same thing as Dunlanding Warriors. And if you're going to be spending the time shooting, you might as well be doing it with someone who's only a strength 4, because that's what the Dunlanding Warriors are, a strength 4. We'll get to them in a minute. While using your strength 5 Chieftain to go in combat and hopefully wreck some troops. So, moving on, the named character that I totally forgot about, but I'm glad I didn't. I'm sorry. He also has Heroic March, which is kind of expected of her chieftains and captains. So Thrydan Wolfsbane. is the named hero in the Armies of the Lord of the Rings book. He has Fight 5, so there you go. There's somebody better than Fight 4. That's what you're looking for to help beat that Fight 4 meta. He has Strength 5, Defense 5, 2 attacks, and 2 wounds. Now, Thrydan Wolfsbane is the big hero, so to speak, for Dunland, and he does get buffs from the Legendary Legion. Again, we won't talk about that today, but in the future we will discuss that. I'm definitely looking forward to doing that. So I think Fight 5, Strength 5, Defense 5, a lot of 5s right there. 2 attack, 2 wound, Courage 4. Not bad. 3 Might, 2 Will, 2 Fate. That's pretty good. Like I said, he is the quote-unquote big baddie for Dunland, so it would make sense that he does get that 3rd point of Might, and an extra point of Fate doesn't help, especially again, since, like I said, it's only Defense 5, and those pesky arrows can really stink. He comes with armor, sword, and 2-handed axe. He knows Heroic Strike and Heroic Strength, so both of those are pretty good. So having a 2-handed axe, so you get +1 to wound, and potentially going up to Strength 8, you could be wounding a lot of things. Like Defense 7 models, you'd be wounding them on 3s. Because Strength, if you get up to Strength 8 on Defense 7 is a 4, with +1 to wound going 2-handed would be a 3. So you could really do some damage to some folks. Same with like Defense 8 heroes, you would need 3s. So those like Dane or the Dwarfs. I'm thinking Thorin here in this example. Who else? Defense 7, let's say Prince Imrahil. Defense 7, let's say, not Thrydan, Aragorn, Elisar, King Elisar. Let's talk about Éomer. Éomer and Thrydan are both Defense 7 kitted out. So, that's a really good way to look at a possibility to get your guy up there to really do some damage against a high shield wall, or even just a shield wall in general, high defense hero, my apologies, or a shield wall, like Iron Hill's shield wall being Defense 8. He can be upgraded with a horse. The other thing is that I want to make sure you guys notice is he does have a sword too, so he doesn't have to go 2-handed. Unlike some of the heroes in this game, like Grimbold, for example, who has to go 2-handed, he can pull his sword and fight with his sword. When I've used Thrydan, that is personally how I prefer to use him, unless I'm fighting something where I know he can win, or I've got support in there, something of that nature. Because there's been a few times where I've tried to go 2-handed against 2 infantry troops thinking I got it, and I'll roll deuce 1s, and that stinks. So he can be upgraded with a horse. His special rules. He has Mighty Blow, which means every wound that he inflicts does 2 wounds. That's really key. So if you can get a charge off against an infantry model, he's going to be doing 3 attack base, and then with the knockdown ability, you're doubling that to 6. And then if for some crazy reason all 6 of those become successful wounds, you've dealt 12 wounds. I can see that being really useful against enemy hero models as well, because you can ride into combat with your natural strength 5. You're going to be wounding even armored horses on 4s, so maybe use one of your 2 attacks to take your enemy's hero off his horse. Pretty good chance of doing that, 50-50. Maybe burn a point of might if you roll a 3 to ensure it. And then hope that on a 16% chance that your opponent rolls a 1 and goes prone. Then you can double that last strike to throw 2 attacks, and if for some reason you're lucky enough to get both of those attacks to wound, now you quadrupled 1 attack. So pretty good special rule right there with Mighty Blow. His second special rule is Lord of Dunland, and his stand fast is 12 inches. So that's really impressive too, because it gives you a 24-inch bubble for a stand fast. Only Courage 4. But 2 points of fate. I'm sorry, not fate. 2 points of will. He could stick around. So moving on, let's cover the 2 warrior options that are in the book of the Armies of the Lord of the Rings. So the first one is the Dunlanding Warrior, which is actually one of my personal favorites, just because that's how I kind of usually build my army around. They also are very versatile. So they are Fight 3. Again, that's why I said this. They've got an issue with Fight 3. Strength 4, Defense 4, 1 attack, 1 wound, Courage 3. They come with armor and an axe, or you can upgrade them, and you can upgrade them, with a banner, shield, or you swap your axe for dagger and bow. So you give up your piercing strike for the ability to do a shot. They are 4-up shoot value, or you can also give them a 2-handed axe. I don't usually ever give these guys 2-handed axes. I try and give them shields to get that defense 5, because being defense 5 is a little bit more hardy. You're not worrying about strength 2 bows then. And you can always use them to shield on a flank, which, let's be honest, these guys don't have any spear supports unless you take the Dunland Huskarl, who I'll cover here in a little bit. And even then, they're pretty expensive models to get in, so you're not going to have a typical shield and sword wall or shield and spear wall with these guys. But they are very versatile. You can give them a banner, you can give them a shield to buff their defense, switch that around for a bow, or you can give them a two-handed axe. So they do have the ability to do a little bit of killing power. I actually wouldn't be adverse to trying a few of mine with two-handed axes in the future, maybe being supported by a Huskarl, like I was saying, whose their spear axe thing can be used as either a spear or a two-handed axe. We'll cover it, like I said, I promise. But maybe having them on the flank or in the middle of the line to get that +1 to wound, plus a banner nearby, or a hero who can heroic combat in there just to get a little extra killing power. But not a bad warrior overall. Fight 3, that kind of hurts, but could be much worse. So moving on to the other model, and that is Wildman of Dunland. So Wildman of Dunland they're cheap, ridiculously cheap. They're barely better than a ruffian from Sharky's Rogues. They are fight 3, strength 3, defense 3, 1 attack, 1 wound, courage 3. They come with sword or an axe. So you can give them either or. I would recommend that if you're going with the axe route, you better make sure that you have those models modeled with them. Otherwise, you just keep it consistent all the way around. And you can give them a two-handed axe for an extra point. So they do have a special rule, though, which makes them a little bit better than Sharky's Rogues. I just drew a blank. What the heck are those guys? Ruffians. Wow, just said it. And that is hatred for Rohan. So if you're playing a Rohan army, which personally I feel like we should see a lot more Rohan armies than we do, just because of the fact that all mounted cav is amazingly good, despite what people think. They can win all scenarios. Yes, all scenarios. I had this discussion the other day where someone said, "Oh, all mounted cav can't win objective scenarios." Well, Joe, in my display case of trophies, would reckon to disagree with that because of the fact that we have won plenty a objective scenario. But they are very good at movement scenarios, obviously, because of all cav, all mounted. They are good at pretty much everything. So you don't see them as much as I would expect to, but I've also seen a few of the Helm's Deep, Defenders of Helm Deep's Legion. So you got a few Rohan armies that way. Trying to think of the other ones. That's mostly it, because I don't think a lot of people play Thaydred's Guard or Aomer's Riders. I would like to possibly dabble with Thaydred's Guard, and I know that with Helm Hemahan coming out, some folks have delved into that Legendary Legion as well. But like I said, we will cover those in a future video for the Warren Rohan Legendary Legion. So we'll probably do exactly like we did with the last one, which was just take the ones that are in the book and rank them from where we think best to worst against each other from that book. So let's move back. So we're going to be moving into the Warren Rohan supplement now to talk about the rest of the Dunland models. Now, this army only became an army in this book, and I think it was really cool. It was thematically added into the book from the movie scenes. I really like the models that were added. It kind of let Dunland be its own standalone thing. But do remember that if you want to play pure Dunland, they have a Legendary Legion with bonuses. So you can go that route, or you can do like I prefer to do, and I usually kind of like to play Isengard, quote unquote, with Dunland being the primary force, and that's how I practiced it. Just because of the fact that A, I don't have any Dunlanding warriors with bows, B, I don't have any Dunlanding warriors with banners, and C, I'd rather have a crossbow over a strength 2 bow on a 4-up shoot value. If I'm already going to be going with 4-up shoot values, I might as well pay a couple extra points and get that strength 4 shot coming from an Uruk-hai crossbowman as well. Plus, going that route, you can also take, you can ally in some better heroes. The one weakness I will say about Dunland heroes outside of Thrydan is that they are all 2 wound, 1 fate models. So I think I was talking about Gorulf earlier. He can kind of get in trouble. They can all kind of get in trouble depending on what they're going against. So I like to play them in ally things. And if you look at our battle report that we had last, that's exactly what I did. Is all I do is ally in a Mordor troll. I'm sorry, not a Mordor troll, Isengard troll. Gosh, I am making so many mistakes today. an Isengard troll in order to get a big piece, something to make my opponents go, okay, I got to pay attention to that. Just another tool in the arsenal, like Joe, Dan, and I have talked about. If you're looking to play competitively, what's your tools? Well, Dunland doesn't have a lot of them. They just have a lot of diversity. But let's put a troll in there. Now you have a tool with a troll. So you can get hurls, you can get barges, you can get wrens. And it's not like it's an easy model to kill either. So I had that. And then like I said, I put in the Isengard crossbowman. So speaking of Gorulf, he's going to be the first one we cover. So we've got 6 new profiles in the Warren Rohan book. But Gorulf Ironskin, he will be the first one. So he's a hero of fortitude. I didn't go over the heroic tiers, the other 2, but they were both fortitude. Both the Chieftain and Thrydan Wolfsbane are both fortitude. So Gorulf Ironskin, he's fight 5, so that's good. Another fight 5 hero that you need. Strength 5, defense 5, 3 attack. So your first 3 attack, and I'm afraid to say the only 3 attack Dunland hero you're going to get. 2 wounds, courage 4, 3 might, 1 will, 1 fate. He comes with armor, 2 axes, and a dagger. So I'm assuming the 2 axes is the reason why he's up to 3 attacks for his profile. But as I said, there you go. You can see it right there. 2 wounds, 1 fate, and defense 5 means strength 3 or better bows are wounding him on 5s, and all it takes is 3 of those. And your best, minor, I'm going to say medium to lower tier hero killer and troop muncher is gone. And that almost happened to me. And it really stinks if it does. Heroic actions, he has strike, strength, and defense. And then his special rule is Iron Skin. If at the start of a fight phase, Gorulf is engaged with an enemy hero model, he may declare a heroic defense without spending might. So that's actually really good. And I want to tip my hat to John Stokes, who he and I were talking about Dunland a couple days ago. For those who are unaware, John Stokes actually won our 1,000 point Great Battle at the Carolinas event. So congratulations on that again, John. And thanks for the conversation we had the other night. So I'm going to kind of tip this, and hopefully I'm not giving away your strategy, but I'm sure other folks have seen this already. So if he goes against a hero, all right, he's got daggers, he's got axes. He's going to get a free heroic defense, which I think you should honestly always call if you're going against another hero after talking with John. So if you're not sure what a heroic defense is, basically you can only be wounded on natural 6s. So with only 2 wounds and 1 fate, that's kind of But this is what John said. I was like, I would have gone with strike originally is what my thought process was. So you can strike up, roll a natural 6, and beat the opponent, especially if your opponent is coming at you on foot, on horse. Well, he's like, I wouldn't do that. I would just go with the Iron Skin, get the natural the 6s, and then piercing strike. I was like, yes, but piercing strike's going to lower your defense, and then you're going to have a lower defense. It said it doesn't matter because now I've used Iron Skin, so you can only wound me on natural 6s. I was like, touche. That is a good combo right there. Because if you're going to piercing strike, you don't care about losing that, D3 to your defense because you already got the Iron Skin special ability going on to make sure that you're only wounded on natural 6s. The other advantage to that is by piercing striking, you go up to strength 6. So you're not going to get knocked down. Now, I'm not 100% sure. I have to recheck the rules on this. I do believe that you only go up in strength if you win, but I may be wrong on that. So it's because if you lose, you go down by D3. It doesn't matter if you win, you lose. So I do want to say, I think he was right in his thought about that. It is, okay, now you're strength 6. Why is that important? Strength 6 models can't be knocked prone by cavalry charges. So that's huge. So now you're going against an enemy hero mounted who maybe they have a lance, so you don't care about the +1 to wound because you're going to go with the Iron Skin special ability to call a free heroic defense and only be wounded on natural 6s. You're going to go piercing strike with your 2 axes. So you're going to become strength 6. You don't care about your defense because, hey, you've got the Iron Skin special ability and you can't be knocked prone. So, and then being strength 6, if you do win, you've got a good chance of at least unhorsing your opponent because if they're riding a regular horse, strength 6 on defense 4s, you're wounding on 3s, or doing some damage to a high defense enemy model. Defense 7, defense 8. Defense 6s on 8s is going to be wounding them on 5s now, as opposed to strength 5 before. So, not a bad combo idea there, John. I'm going to have to double check just to make sure that the piercing strike, you still go to strength 6 even if you lose the fight. But if that holds true, that's a dang good combination. So I never really thought about that and put that all together before myself, I'll be honest. So kudos and hats tip to you, John, for that. So the next hero we have is Frida Talspear. And I know I'm saying that right because she's got an accent mark on her I. So it might be Frida. Who knows? I was never good at saying names. And I forget mine half the time. So here we go. She's fight 5, 4 up shoot value. Strike 4, defense 6, 2 attack, 2 wound, courage 4. And she's a 3/1/1 as well. She has armor, shield, which is why she's defense 6, so that's good. Spear, interesting, and dagger. Spear, so she can do supports. Of course, she'd only lend 1 attack, but she can support. Heroic defense and heroic strength. She has 2 special rules. Her first one is ready stance, and that's cavalry models do not gain the extra attack or knock to the ground bonuses when involved in a fight against Frida Talspear, or one she is supporting. So that's why her spear is useful. So she doesn't have to be a frontline person. You can keep her in the back and support. Now, at defense 6, I would say she's a little bit more reliable not to get wounded or killed, like unlike, say, Gorulf Ironskin, who's only defense 5, and his special ability only works against hero models. So I would probably put Frida in the front line. Not only that, because of the fact she's got 3 points of might. If you support her with a Huskar, who we're still getting to, I promise you, she's going to get 3 attacks plus a couple points of might. She's got her own might she can use on her dice, and potentially a banner if you take one. So that's really good to stop enemy cav. So you could heroic combat out of that and cancel another cavalry model's, extra attack and knock to the ground. Really big against enemy heroes. I see that as a great way to take out enemy hero horses, is get her over there, take away, say, like Thrydan, who's only got 2 attacks base. If you can do a heroic combat and get a few extra guys, you can take Thrydan off his horse and really potentially, screw him, to put it bluntly. Her second special rule is go for the horse. And that is Frida Talspear and friendly Dunlanding models within 3 inches of her may re-roll 2 wound rolls against mounts during the fight phase. So that's really good as well. Like I mentioned earlier with Gorulf and with Thrydan, take a shot at killing a horse with strength 5, strength 6, strength 8, depending on how you're doing strikes, how you're doing piercing strikes or heroic strengths, because they both have it. And Frida's got it too, so that's nothing to laugh at. You can bump her up to strength 7 potentially. And it's re-roll. It's not ones. It's not like fainting. It's re-rolling wounds. You fail, just re-roll it. That's really good. I really like her. She's a really good model. I've had pretty good success with her. Haven't had her against any big cavalry armies yet. The few times I've played it, most of the armies I've gone against were more foot-based, but she has stopped a few enemy heroes from getting their charge bonuses and stuff, which is nice. So the next profile is the Wildman Oathmaker. Now, this is a named profile. Yes, he does not have a name. He is just simply known as the Wildman Oathmaker, but he is considered a named hero, so you can only have one of them. I do need to point that out because that is important, because his special rules are pretty darn good. So he's very average. Fight 4, strength 4, defense 4, 2 attack, 2 wound, courage 4, 3/1/1 again for Might Will Fate, and his only war gear is a dagger. His heroics are strength. Oh, all these guys were fortitudes, by the way. I apologize. So he's fearless, and he has hatred for Rohan, very much like the Wildman of Dunland model that I covered a little earlier. So fearless means he don't care he doesn't care about you. Are you terror? Are you a Terranar? Are you a Ringwraith? Are you a Dead of Damharo? Are you a Gilgalad? Are you an Azov? Are you a Bolg who's got a few kills and now has terror? He doesn't care. He's charging in. And that is actually really important, because I'm going to skip his first rule and go straight to his second one, and that is Blood Oath. And friendly wild men of Dunland within 6 inches of the Wildman Oathmaker gain the Fearless special rule. So this is similar to how Angbor the Fearless helps the Clansman of Lamadon. Basically makes a 12-inch bubble for the Wildman of Dunland to get in there. So again, they have the hatred, both the Wildman Oathmaker and the Wildman of Dunland, and he is a fearless bubble. So that's one of the ones I actually do like to take him in quite a few Wildmen if I can, just because while they are cheap and they are not very strong, you can take a good amount of them. You can take his full warband for, I think, 60 points. If that, I'm not doing math very well right now, so I don't really care. But him and a warband is less than 120 points. And now you've got 12 guys that you can just, I'm just going to move straight into combat. And I will say that it has been very useful for me against fell beasts. I have used the Wildman Oathmaker and the Wildman of Dunland's fearless ability against ring wraiths and fell beasts to just stop them in their tracks, and it is very potent. His other special rule is we will die for Saruman, and all Wildmen of Dunland, included in the same army as the Wildman Oathmaker gain the Isengard keyword for the duration of the battle. That's important because the Wildman Oathmaker also has the Isengard keyword, where before everybody I've talked about so far has the Dunlanding keyword. Why is this important? Because the Isengard army bonus, which we're not really going to worry about now because we're talking about Dunland, Joe and Dan and I will cover that in our next video. It is, you do not take courage checks until you're 66%. So yes, you still are broken at 50%, but until you're at 66%, models with the Isengard keyword don't have to take courage checks. So all these Dunland models, if you're playing, Dunland Isengard, you got Uruk-hai, you've got Lurch, you've got Gorulf, Frida, you've got Mahur, all the other named, Saruman even. Those guys have the Isengard keyword, so they don't have to courage check until 66% of your army has been defeated, where the Dunlanding guys would normally have to do it at 50. So that is important because of the fact that the Wildman Oathbreaker only be courage 4 and the Wildman of Dunland only be courage 3. They now don't care about being broken either, where Dunland is a courage 4 army for its heroes and courage 3 for its troops. So it is a low courage army. So if there's anything with like ancient evil or something like that does a -1 to your courage value, they are going to struggle a little bit for courage checks. And I have seen that playing it before. So that just makes the Wildman of Dunland and Wildman Oathmaker a little bit better since they get the Isengard keyword. And if you're playing them outside of the Legendary Legion, this only counts outside of Legendary Legion, they don't have to worry about taking courage check until 66% of your force has been defeated. So moving on, we have 3 warrior profiles now to cover. And the first one is a Dunlanding horseman. So I'll get through this guy real quick. He's basically just a Dunlanding warrior on horseback. And he's even been given the shield to show it. So he's still got the fight 3, strength 4, defense 5, 1 attack, 1 courage 3. He has been given a shield, like I said, and that is in his profile. So he's got armor, shield, horse, axe, and dagger. He does have a special rule, which makes it pretty good, and that's slay their horses. Whilst they have cavalry keyword, Dunling horsemen reroll 1s to wound against mouse. That's good because you can combo that with Frida Talspear. If you're outside of her 3-inch range, you get to reroll all wounds. Since they have the Dunling keyword, you get to reroll all wounds against mouse. If you're away from her, now you get to reroll 1. So it basically gives you fainting against enemy mounts. Not bad at all. And then the next model is the Dunlanding Huskar, who I've alluded to numerous times now, so I apologize for that. So he is fight 3. Told you, this army lacks in the fight value department, but this one gets you that special ability, and I'll explain why. So fight 3, strength 4, defense 5, 1 attack, 1 wound, courage 3, heavy armor, and the Dunlanding war axe and dagger. So the Dunlanding war axe, it can be used as either a spear or a 2-handed axe. So you can go 2-handed with it and get piercing strike, or you can spear support. And that's what I was talking about earlier when you're talking about someone like Thrydan or Gorulf or Frida getting that spear support. So that's where these guys come in handy. And they also have bodyguard. So that's also important. You've got another troop that is no longer caring about terror. So I definitely get as many of these guys in as I can. They are more expensive. They are considered the elite unit for Dunland, and they reflect that in their points value because you're talking about a model that's now double-digit points. But definitely worth it. I try and get in anywhere from 8 to 10 of them, depending on points value that we're playing at. And then they have one other special rule, and this is the important one, and that is favor the war chief. So Dunlanding Huskarl supporting a fight within 3 inches of a friendly Dunlanding hero model gain +1 fight value for the duration of the fight. So this is important. It does say supporting a fight. So they do have to be using that Dunlanding War Axe in a spear role, which is why I use them personally as my second line. They are already multi-point models that you don't want taking arrows constantly from your front line. So that's why I like taking the Dunlanding Warriors with shields, which are pretty cheap. They're pretty efficient up front. And then having these Dunlanding Huskarls behind to support them. And there are a good amount of heroes. If you take every single hero, there are 5 of them. Because you've got Thrydan, you've got the Chieftain, you've got Gorulf, you've got Frida, and you've got, what's his name? I just drew the Wildman Oathmaker. How can I forget him? So, and you can take multiples of the Chieftain. So it's not hard to really get within 3 inches of enemy hero. I'm not sorry, not an enemy hero. Wow, a Dunlanding hero, and I have never had an issue with that, to be completely honest, because it's a 6-inch bubble. You can get them in there. So I definitely like those models. They're really cool looking, expensive to buy, just being honest, and also expensive to quote unquote buy for playing in the game. So the last model, this is one that I actually really like the model on. It's a little fragile to try and build, but I do like the model, and that is the Crebain. Crebain really added something for Dunland outside the Horsemen. The Horsemen are great, don't get me wrong, being able to move 10 inches, but that 12-inch with the Crebain is just amazing. So because they have fly, and yeah, they just add that little extra something that you really need to help make this army that much better. So they are fight 2. Yuck. It be what it be, but it's not too awful because usually you're not getting them in combat. Even if you are, they don't go down all that quick, I found. They are strength 2, defense 3, 2 attacks, 4 wounds, curse 3. They have beaks and claws, which makes complete sense because it's a flock of birds. I already covered the fly special rule. They have 2 others, and the first one is keen sight, and that is enemy models within 12 inches of 1 or more Crebain gain no benefit of the Stalk Unseen special rule. So basically they cancel Elven Cloaks, because Elven Cloak, if I'm remembering correctly, gives you the Stalk Unseen special rule. So you're canceling out Elven Cloaks, and there are a lot of models out there that use that for positioning and stuff. But that's really good. That allows you to give you the chance to go ahead and shoot at these guys and take them out if you need to. The second one is Cloud of Birds, and that is shooting attacks will only ever hit Crebain on the roll of a natural 6. So, little tidbit I found from the FAQs, and this is a cheeky way to defeat this. If you are targeting a model behind a Crebain and you shoot to hit, you roll like you normally do, so your shoot value is 4 and you get a 4 to hit. Now you have to decide, do I get through the Crebain to the model behind? So 1, 2, 3 doesn't get through, 4, 5, 6 it does. According to the FAQs, if you are aiming at a model behind a Crebain and you hit on your natural, on your natural or better shoot value, and then you roll your in the way and you fail to get through to that model and you hit the Crebain, you still hit it. So that's just a little cheeky, thumb your nose at the Crebain's Cloud of Birds special rule, which I thought was a little, crazy myself, but hey, what do I know? But that is really good if you're flying it around, because I really see the Crebain as a great objective capture, or for scenarios like Reconnoiter where you got to get off the board, or storm the camp. These guys can move across the board pretty much unimpeded. Again, they have fly, so they don't care about your control zones, and you can get them where you need to get them. I've had a lot of success with them. I've had a lot of fun playing with them. And again, I really like the models. They are really nice looking models, I think, as well. So that is all the profiles for Dunland. Biggest weakness is that they really don't have any defense 6 troops. They have 0 defense 6 troops, to be honest. Excuse me. It's either defense 5 or defense 3 or defense 4 if you don't give them a shield. They are a strength 4 army, though. Every model, I think, outside of, I actually think the horsemen, not the horsemen, the Wildman, the Dunland Wildmen are only strength 3 if I'm remembering right now. Yeah. So, but for the most part, you're going to be taking Huskarls, Dunland horsemen, Dunland warriors, and then of course the Wildmen and Dunland actually aren't anything to laugh at because of the fact that if you give them axes and even two-handed axes potentially, you can piercing strike with two-handed. So you could be strength 4 with +1 to wound. And for a very cheap model, you can spam them out really well and maybe get some damage in there. Other weaknesses that they only are fight 3. They have no troops. That base value is better than fight 3. You have to get the Huskarls with their advantage of their special rule to get them up to fight 4. And then their highest hero is only fight 5. And they only have 2 of them that can strike because Gorulf and Thrydan are the only ones who can strike. Gorulf is fight 3, 3 attack base, but he can't be mounted, so that's all he's ever going to get. Thrydan, you have to mount him in order to get that 3 attack. Mighty Blow is good, but I definitely think you have to mount him in order to be able to maximize his killing ability. If you don't want to, that's your prerogative, but I definitely believe you should mount him if you're going to take him. 10 points, you're giving up like 2 Wildmen. It's not that big a deal. And the killing power that you get, especially with Mighty Blow, that 1 wound, that 1 extra attack can become 2, can become 4. I don't see why you wouldn't want to give up 2 Wildmen to potentially do that. But again, everybody's own prerogative. Some people think that all mounted armies can't win objective scenarios, but hey, again, some people's prerogative. So that is Dunland. All, 10 profiles of it? Not bad. It's small. Coming in pretty quickly. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I have had a lot of fun playing with Dunland. They are really fun to play with. Joe and I have done several narrative scenarios from War Rohan. I suggest you go check those videos out if you'd like to see these models in action, or go buy them. I will say they do cost a pretty penny to get from Forge World, but there are plenty of alternatives out there. I've seen a lot of good second or third hand merchants, whatever you want to call it, that make models that are similar, some Vikings and stuff like that. I actually like those a little bit better because honestly the warriors of Dunland, the ones that I said are like base for building your army, have 2 poses and that's it. So not a lot of dynamics in that. So sometimes it's cool to get some second-hand parties in there, third-hand party to get in there to get some extra, poses. That always helps out. But that's it, guys. Thanks for staying tuned and paying and following along with this. Our next one will be covering Isengard. I hope to have both Dan and Joe involved. Joe is our quote-unquote resident expert again when it comes to Isengard because he's played it before. And I've played Isengard some, and Dan has played. I don't know if he's played with it, but I know he's definitely gone against it, having played against Joe plenty of times. So as always, guys, thanks for watching, listening. Thanks for sticking with us through this. Please like and subscribe and enjoy your hobby. Take care.